Everyone, welcome to Be Well Live. This is Mike from Seneca's Athletics and Recreation Department. Hope you're all having a great summer so far. For today's Be Well Live, I'm going to quickly go over a little stretch or maybe a couple different stretches that are going to target a certain muscle that you might not be familiar with, at least the term, but you're probably associating with it with some of the pain or imbalances and stiffnesses that we get with our lower back. So this muscle is called the QL, the quadratus lumborum. So it's often kind of overshadowed by the erector spinae, which is the lower back muscle that kind of surrounds the entire core, the outer core. The QL muscle, the quadratus lumborum, is actually a deeper muscle. So it's in the inner core, as we would call it. So very, very deep muscle that has many different functions and works in synergy with other muscles. So any kind of movement that you get in that might be awkward, it's probably doing something that is contributing to some pain and stiffness. One common one from imbalances is the sleeping. So if you tend to sleep on one side all the time, that muscle is constantly working to hold up kind of the leg and the arch of the back and in that position. So this QL muscle is rather, shows up all the time when it comes to these awkward positions. So I'm going to show you a couple stretches that are going to hit this QL muscle, just to keep it in mind so that when you're doing your back stretches, that it might actually be this and not your other part of the lower back. Okay, so the first one is just a standing side reach. So it's really simple, but really effective, and it's just standing up. And basically, all you're doing is reaching over your body with one arm. So you're reaching, and you should feel that along the side. So this muscle of the back actually comes over to the side as well. So any kind of rotation, if you do, you might feel it as well. So just reaching over the head, and you'll feel that kind of pull up towards the ribs. Just a slight rotation, you can switch sides, and that's just a standing kind of side reach. Okay? Very basic, very elementary. You can do this in any workout. Probably most of the time you are doing something similar to it. You're just not really aware of what you're targeting when you're doing that movement. The next one is going to be on the floor. So just in a cross-legged position or a butterfly seated position or an elementary school assembly position. Is just sitting down like this. And what you're going to be doing is basically placing your left arm, or this looks like my right in the mirror here. You are going to place that on the opposite side of this leg to prop it in position. And then your other arm is going to reach over. And you're going to get a slight pull here. Okay? So you're sitting cross-legged, one arm across the body to prop behind in front of the knee, reaching the other arm overhead, and then slightly tilting. And you're going to get a pull all the way down towards your lower back. And then of course you would switch sides, do roughly 15 seconds per side. So when you're sitting in this position, it obviously feels awkward. You might have limited mobility here. That's kind of the whole idea. So typically when you overuse this muscle, the QL, you are in these unorthodox positions. So it really helps to be able to stretch it so that when you go to tie your shoes or you're sleeping or you're in an imbalanced position, that this muscle isn't as tight. Okay? The last one is in a pigeon pose. So basically a pigeon stretch, if you will, is kind of one leg in front bent, the other leg behind you, and you're holding this kind of position here. It's modified in traditional yoga flow movements, but really all we're going to do here is front leg is bent. Instead of the back leg being extended, we're not focusing on the glutes here. So what we're going to be doing is keeping both legs bent. So if you will, like this. And then what you're going to do is taking your right arm, same thing, you're going to reach. Again, it'll feel very awkward, limited mobility. You're not going to get much range of motion here. But that's not really the objective. We're not doing big range of motion movements. We're trying to isolate this muscle, the QL, to help eliminate some of the stiffness. So again, you're in this awkward kind of pigeon pose position and you're reaching over. And what you can even do is, instead of just reaching over, is you can just kind of push yourself off the ground and you should feel it a little bit. So let's say you're getting ready for that pigeon pose stretch. Instead of reaching forward, you're kind of tilting the other way. And even myself, I'm bad for this as well. I can feel this right away, just from that position. Okay, so there's a couple different stretches you can do to hit the QL, the quadratus lumborum. Maybe you've never heard of it, but it is a really vital connective tissue that is both of the lower back and at the hip region. A lot of stiffness is a result of neglect when it comes to the balance of this muscle. Okay, so thanks for joining Be Well Live. I hope everyone has a good rest of the week. Cheers.